What's going on, guys? I'm Nathaniel,
I'm Michael.
and today we are here with Chris. Chris, introduce yourself, let them know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Chris Hoquis, pronounced like Hocus Pocus. I'm really excited to be here. Primarily I'm involved in a lot of different things, but how we've crossed paths is through Rally the Locals. Rally Locals is a startup venture that I recently started this year. Really all about generating leads for local businesses, more specifically driving growth in any capacity for local businesses. I'm also a local university prof here in Winnipeg, and teaching classes in project management, business analysis. So I've been doing that for almost 5 years. And my background is primarily in computer science and business. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I love to box, so you can probably see it. I can't get away from the sport. I'm obsessed. I've been involved in it for the last 2 years, so I've just been hooked ever since. But that's me in a nutshell.
First, I like the Hocus Pocus thing. That's a good way to introduce yourself. I know you have that line on lock, but I feel like you do so many things. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with Rally the Locals. So what was your why did you start that? Why did you start it?
Yeah, Rally the Locals, like honestly, the biggest driver behind it is COVID. I got a lot of my buddies who stopped all their businesses, like restaurants, nightclubs, cafes. Like it was just really heartbreaking, like just to see. I kind of felt like my background has been engulfed in technology for pretty much my whole career for the last almost 2 decades. And I've just always had this I've been that like nerdy guy in the background, always helping with like websites, software, apps, all those things. And so I always knew that there was always a spot for me to help in some capacity. And, for myself, it's been all about raising awareness. And when you see all these businesses kind of suffer and close down, everybody wonders, like, hey, how do we help local? Like, it's not just buying products, it's actually knowing who they are. And so, the whole concept came around that, where I was like, hey, if there was like a one go-to platform where you can kind of get to know businesses on a deeper level, know their story, know who they are, just everything about them. That's more than just a topical website or a topical post share where somebody just says, hey, buy this product. I really believe we can rally around a community and really support each other on a deeper level. So I've always known that if I had an option to buy let's say a candle at Walmart for $2, or I got my homeboy, my homegirl, my homebody selling the same candles for $10, but like them, it's like I'm gonna go down to the candle shop and support. But a lot of people just don't even know that exists. So that's really why Rally the Locals exists. And what I'm really excited for is that on the surface, it's really an educational platform. Behind the scenes, what a lot of regular consumers don't see is the stuff that we do. Businesses, content creation, content generation, support, consulting, and just being there from a technological support standpoint. So, and then really bridging those gaps with connections and then really bringing everybody together. So,
For sure. Yeah, you talked about the education aspect as well. And then you mentioned how you teach at University of Manitoba.
Yeah.
How did that get started? And what was the link from there to Rally the Locals?
Yeah, that's a great question. Kind of I guess semi-humorous story. So I came across some coworkers that told me that they landed a job at like these random universities, and they didn't really have any like crazy credentials. I thought they had no swag. I was like, you, an instructor? How did that happen? So then that was kind of a triggering point for me. I was like, Peter can do it. Sally can do it. I can do it. And so it was probably about 2 years of applications to like every post-secondary institution with just like constant rejection. And I think eventually this one opening came up, and it was at the University of Manitoba, and it was for a project management class. And all it said was like, hey, if you have industry experience and then these credentials, XYZ 1, 2, 3, you should apply. So instead of doing a traditional application, I full blown went all out on a video. And I don't know, it took like 50 takes, wore the ugliest suits I thought was swag, and just in front of the camera and just said, "Why, hello there. My name is," it was, I don't know if I'm going to release that video ever in life, but it was pretty, I thought it was pretty funny now that I look at it. But hey, it attracted an interview, and no joke, there were probably like three people, three times my age, who had the most judgmental faces I've ever seen, and were like very confused with the application and me pulling up. And I don't know if it was my fresh fade or my man bun that they just had them looking really weird, but like you can just tell that I was not your average person applying for a job. But he really kind of went through all their questions, and then I remember this one woman, she was just like looking at me and saying, she had the eyes that just like, hey, I'm gonna say whatever it takes to just make sure this person messes up. And she like threw her paper out and said, "Why do you really want this job?" Like looking at me like with that face. And then I just basically ripped the education system. I just basically said, listen, like education sucks. Like I was the worst student in the world, and I felt like profs never really earned my attention. And I feel like if profs actually showcase they cared about their students on a meaningful level, it'll really, really create incentive for them to express themselves. And more people expressing themselves, then that just enlightens a classroom, and education doesn't feel so boring. And we can all really truly learn from each other. And I swear all three, I said something along those lines, and they all looked at each other. And then the next day I got a call and said, okay, you have two. We'll give you a tip. 5 years later, lead instructor of like, one of my departments. And so it's been a journey. And the reason why that ties into Round the Locals is I think it's great because I actually have a lot of international students that pull up. And for them, a lot of them come aspiring to actually start their own businesses. And I've met a lot of students in general who want to start their own businesses, and they don't have any ties. They don't have connection. So just to bridge those gaps and say, hey, listen, like I know somebody else that owns a cafe, like pull up, go talk to them. Just really bridging those opportunities for connections. And that's really what Rally the Locals is all about, is like, let's bring people together, similar interests, similar goals, similar anything, and then really bring the community. So yeah, that's kind of the tie.
That's awesome. I like the story on how you got started because like you said, you don't look like your stereotypical like professor, right? And so the fact that you kept like pushing and pushing and actually got the job, that's amazing. Because I'm sure like um, just being in class, like I've never sat in a like in university, but I'm sure like a lot of you guys, sure like a lot of you teachers are older, right? So seeing a younger guy can relate to him more, and it could like actually inspire some kids to maybe go up and be a professor too, right? Yeah, it's awesome. But you see, like you're very active, very, very active. And I didn't know that. Like I didn't know. But I saw we're like on your page today, we're looking like, man, this guy has these. This guy does boxing and everything. So let us know, like, when did you like start boxing and just your whole fitness journey? Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, fitness journey. Yeah, honestly, I think it was probably around 10 years ago where I don't, okay, maybe I'll actually backtrack. So right out of high school, I did a computer science program, and I grew up with immigrant parents, and basically said all that matters is food, money, water, family. That's it. Don't make friends. Don't do anything social. You provide for family. That's it. And so like when I landed like my first software developer job, I like looked at my parents and was like, so anything else I need to do? All he said was go find a wife and get grandkids, and then we're good. I'm like, okay, can I move up? Whatever you want. And so they okay. So I moved out. That was the transformative journey where I think I just discovered a YMCA, and then just kind of met some people there playing basketball. I was really good at NBA Live, and so it didn't really translate, but mentally I think it did. And so I think I'm a power forward for like somebody that is like maybe a foot short than needs to be a power forward. So because if you're telling kids to like do stuff, like to me, I wouldn't want to be that coach where it's like you can't even run with the kids. Like you got to be able to turn up with the kids. And so somewhere along the line, I like took some sort of personal training program where I got certified as a personal trainer, and then I started just basically doing that for a little bit as like a side hustle. And then boxing didn't come until later. Like it came in probably 2 years ago, where it was actually this white collar charity event where I was part of this gym, and uh, it was basically we were choosing like businesses that would raise money for this charity event. It was very high key, super high key with like like I don't know, just fancy black tie event. Everybody's all dressed up, and there's a fancy ring. And actually, it was a professional event along with some amateur fighters. So they actually brought in like Canada and Team Philippines, and then in between each bout, they brought in like these white collar participants, which was like me and a couple like it was like I don't know 8 different bouts. And so essentially that whole event, it was like 3 months worth of training like a real boxer for this one fight. And that was my first exposure to really boxing. And after that training, me and my best friend, we actually got involved in it. And we both won our fights. And then after that, we're just like, okay, now what? He went the chicken nugget route. I went well, I want to keep going. And so yeah, and then we just kind of went our separate ways. Like I continued to kind of really turn up and be like, okay, I want to like take this a little more seriously, and just started training a little bit more regularly, and kind of switched gyms and kind of met up with a coach. And I'm still far away from doing another fight, but yeah, that's been on my mind. It's pretty exhilarating. So I know people think I've been in it longer, but it's like barely 2 years. So yeah, it's just the first strap time for one. So don't be don't be fooled. Like it's all good. Like man, my cardio is not there yet.
No, that's a really crazy story, especially the beginning when you talked about moving out and it kind of like opened up your eyes. It ties into the next question I wanted to ask you about your Satori moment. And if you don't know what a Satori moment is, it's a moment that happens that reveals something within you. Would you say that was the most important Satori moment of your life so far, or is there anything else that's happened?
No, like I would say that's one of them for sure. Yeah, just kind of just being out on your own. And you can talk about it all you want, but until you actually do it in any context, move out, start a business, try boxing, try anything new. I think that's something, and I love that you say the word Satori. I think it's something that should be preached like constantly, because like you can have a Satori moment almost like at any time you trigger it by just like trying something different. And so I would say definitely boxing, moving out. Those are 2 big things for sure. And then teaching was a big one too. Just starting to do that, just realizing that holy crap, like you got like 20, 30 students in a room that you could potentially influence. I think that should be taken with so much privilege. I think especially with you two, like as business owners, like you have so much influence by just like the attention, and you have no idea, you could be catalysts and triggers for Satori moments for others. And I think that's super awesome. So I've just been very mindful of that nowadays, of just kind of just the moments that start off that are different or affect people. So yeah, I would say it happens. Yeah, it's happened a few times for sure. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And the last 2 questions we ask all our guests. First question being, if you had to choose one spice to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
choose one. Sorry,
One spice to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
spice. Oh man, that's a spicy question. Oh man, like, oh no. Oh man, I wish I can. God damn, I gotta be more. I the spices out more often. Like I got spices in my cupboard, but like I only do that just to make it look like I know how to cook. But like actually, that's also a bit of a thirst trap technique too. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like how many times I've had like people over, yeah, you cook? Like, hell yeah, I cook. And I just my door, all spices, but you'll notice they're right at the top. And so some of them are, god damn. What's the one with, I'm just gonna be making stuff up at this point. What's the I don't want to say Cajun, that's too basic. What's the most exotic answer you've had? Just out of curiosity.
Um, We've had like cinnamon. We've had
Paprika, oregano. Um, usually people give like an all-purpose seasoning. And tell us how they could like they're like versatile.
or like a or like a chili because like a spicy, fiery personality.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Damn. See, if I said that, and if I had friends that saw that, they'd call me the biggest liar, because if I had chili on anything, like my nose would be profusely running, and I'd be sweating. I can't handle my spice. I'm just gonna say black pepper. I don't know, because that's the most used spice in my cupboard. Yeah, I would say that, because I don't know. Can't go wrong with black pepper. I don't know. Like, it's been pretty. That's the most basic answer. I have no reason, man. That's a tough question. That's just somehow. That's like edit in some nice.
No worries, no worries, no worries. It's usually the question that gets people.
And then the second question is, give us 3 music artists you listen to that you feel everyone should listen to.
Everyone should listen to.
Or everyone should try to listen to.
Because music can tell a whole story. See, for me, like, I only really listen to reggaeton or R&B.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
So, like, I grew up listening. I grew up listening to R&B, like with the sappiest household. But we're talking like Boys to Men and Mariah Carey. Not that Christmas song though. No, I can't deal with that. You know what I'm talking about, man. If I hear that song one more time.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Artists. I feel like this is also a pressure-filled answer. Sound.
Check your playlist.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm doing right now.
He looks like a Drake type of guy.
I was gonna say, man, I was gonna say The Weeknd, but like the old stuff. None of the new stuff. We're talking like OG, like
the mixtape era, right?
Man, because I saw him live, like, because he was here in Winnipeg, like when nobody knew him, and then he sounded so good live, and I'm like, man, who is this guy? Why does he sound like he's crying all the time? But I want to cry too. God damn, like, so like The Weeknd for sure, because back in the day he knew how to touch my soul. Okay, I have a playlist called YOLO Feels. We have in here. Oh, man. Yeah, Roy Woods. Yeah. Oh, Chris Brown. We'll talk. Yeah, older Chris Brown. New Chris Brown's good too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but if I want to go to reggaeton, and not the most popular artist, but Nicky Jam. He released a documentary on Netflix, and it just tells a story of like I love stories of dogs like who go through deep crap and just come out of it killing the game. And so Nicky Jam's story is pretty sweet. Yeah, no, I definitely listen to him quite a bit. I also spent a week with Chris Brown and Nicky Jam. Go there.
Okay.
That's what's up. Okay. Yeah, we just want to amazing answers. We just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day, sitting down with us. And we appreciate it.
We'll leave all your socials in the description box below as well.
No, I appreciate it, man. No, it's always been a blast talking to both of you. I love what you're doing with Satori, and I can't wait to see where y'all are headed in the new year.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.